guys, my name is Afton. I am a child life specialist here at the hospital. Today I'm going to give you guys a brief presentation over the importance of sibling involvement in a patient's hospitalization. So first I'm going to start off with this quote that kind of grabbed my attention, and it really reflects how important siblings relationships can be. The quote reads, "Siblings relationships, and 80% of Americans have at least one, outlast marriages, survive death of parents, resurface after quarrels that would sink any friendship. They flourish in 1,000 incarnations of closeness and distance, warmth, loyalty, and distrust." And this was said by Erica E. Goody. Now, how many of you in the audience would say that you have a sibling that would reflect that statement on the previous slide? Yeah, okay. Good amount. See, that's pretty accurate, about 80%. So, now, when we're thinking about siblings' involvement in a hospitalization, we often think about the stories that we hear on the news that get all the glory, like those of, siblings that have agreed for bone marrow transplants or kidney transplants or any type of organ transplants, or those that have went to great extent to help their sibling out, like in a trauma or something of that nature. And although those are marvelous and awesome to see and hear about, there are also, in every instant where a patient has a sibling in the hospital, that sibling is affected. No matter what the circumstance, whether it's a terminal illness, a chronic illness, a short-term hospitalization, a long-term hospitalization, no matter what, that sibling is going to have been affected in some way. So the way we can first look at it to understand how important it is for the siblings to be involved is to realize how the hospitalization will affect siblings. There are many ways, and it's going to vary by different siblings, different situations, but these are the main ways that hospitalization is going to affect these siblings. It's going to change the relationship between the siblings, obviously. Even if it's just 2 days in the hospital, their normal routine and normal relationship is going to be disrupted. So that's going to alter it in some way. And if it's a long-term hospitalization, they might not get to see them every day like they would if they were at home. Change in routine. Change in routine is a big thing. Younger children especially thrive off of having a routine. And if something's thrown in the way of that, then it can really throw them off. Change in environment. If a patient is long-term illness or chronic illness or anything like that, the sibling might be spending a lot of time at the hospital with the patient, and that's a completely different environment than at home, especially for their relationship to flourish. Shift and change in amount of attention that they get from parents, friends, family members. Especially for younger children, this is really going to have an effect on them because parents don't often realize this, but if one of their children gets sick, then they are focusing all their attention automatically on them. That's that natural instinct, especially if it's a trauma or something of that nature. But oftentimes, we don't realize that if we take that attention away from the siblings, you're really going to see negative effects with that. They're also going to have added stress and emotional triggers. Depending on the situation, they might observe stress in the environment, or they might feel it themselves. And some might have to take on more responsibility when it comes to like household chores and that type of thing. So it's very important to realize that some children can't adapt really fast to that. So in your guys' practice, have you guys ever seen any type of reactions to these situations? Okay, so some typical reactions to siblings in the hospital. These are going to also vary with the situation and exactly the dynamic of the siblings, but these are the average ones. The sibling might act out to receive attention. If they've lost that attention from their family members and friends, they are going to have the mentality that bad attention is better than no attention. So a lot of the times we'll see kids acting out. And so that's very common. Also, trouble sleeping and eating. These are physiological reactions that most people don't even realize that are occurring due to that stress and trauma. So that's something that you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Developmental regression. This is something that really tends to freak people out because you have a 5-year-old that is, completely developmentally on track, and then something like this happens, like their older sibling is diagnosed with a terminal illness, and you start noticing that this 5-year-old is regressing, and maybe they are now have lost some potty training skills, or they are starting to suck their thumb again that they haven't done in years. Although that seems really strange, it's really normal, and it's a way that children don't intentionally do, but they are able to cope. But you just have to keep an eye out for that, and if you do see that, it just needs to be addressed. And you can talk to your doctors and child life specialists, parents can, about that type of thing. Also, you might see trouble in school. A lot of the times this comes in that form of acting out for that negative attention because they're not getting it at home, and they might seek it somewhere else, like acting out in school. Also, they might show more emotions than normal. You might have a sibling that, isn't typically emotional about things normally, and then this situation has occurred where their sibling is in the hospital and all these extra stress is on, and they might just have breakdowns, or they might show different types of emotions at a higher volume, and that's very typical. They might also act jealous of the patient, which looking from the outside in seems crazy, but the sibling sees that this patient is getting all this attention, and they might not register to them it's because they're sick. They just see that they're getting attention, the sibling, and the other sibling is not. And so that could bring out some forms of jealousy. And also, they might show less interest in normal activities. That can come with different stress, how they cope with stress and that type of thing. They also might show different feelings of aggression, fear, rejection, and confusion. Confusion is a big one that can manifest in many different ways. And so that is also why we're going to talk about later that it is very important that you explain everything that is happening to the sibling so that they don't act out in these forms of confusion. Now we're going to watch this short video. This is just kind of gives you a view of sibling reaction to their sibling being hospitalized. And yes, it is Charlie Brown. I'm a child life specialist. I work with kids all day, so a cartoon is the best way I thought that I could express this to you guys. And just kind of the backstory on this video, Linus is going to visit a friend to bring her a gift who was diagnosed with leukemia. So that's kind of the background to this video.
Hi, is Janice home? Who are you? I'm Linus. I sit in front of Janice at school. I brought her a present. She's not home. She's at the hospital again, getting one of her treatments. But she'll be back tomorrow. Hi, what's going on? This is Linus. He brought Janice a present.
Okay, let's start this now.
Hi, is Janice home? Who are you? I'm Linus. I sit in front of Janice at school. I brought her a present. She's not home. She's at the hospital again, getting one of her treatments. But she'll be back tomorrow. Hi, what's going on? This is Linus. He brought Janice a present. Another present? Everyone brings Janice something. She gets more presents than the two of us put together. We have to be so careful around her. We can't even get the chickenpox because she would catch it from us and it would be really bad for her. Actually, she's become a real nuisance. You don't really mean that, do you? I guess not.
in that video, you see that these two siblings, they show these signs. They show the jealousy, the anger, the confusion. And although this video might seem kind of irrational, like you're thinking maybe, no sibling would ever say that, like especially if their sibling's super sick. But sometimes they don't process that, and they do have these feelings. And although they might not outwardly come out and say that they are jealous or that they are angry, it's probably occurring in their mind. So that's just something we have to keep an eye for, and when it does come up, just make sure you're addressing it properly, or allowing the parents to address it properly and giving them techniques for it. Okay, so now that we know that the hospitalization can affect the siblings and how they will react or can react to that, now we can talk about some different ways that family and parents can help, and also us as a medical staff can help. So first, parents and family members, it's really important for them to reaffirm and talk about the feelings that the sibling is having. If the sibling is experiencing all these new emotions, it's very important that the parents reaffirm that those feelings are okay. They also need to be open to questions. Like we talked about earlier, confusion is a big stem for a lot of emotions, and so you might have some siblings that have like 20 questions a day about their sibling's illness, and you have to be willing to be open to answer those questions. The parents do, and if they can't answer them, then they can refer them to child life specialist or another medical staff member. Also, allow involvement with patient care and or household activities. So if the sibling is at the hospital or at home, then